is it?
Sit down!
Finish the job, son.
Eliza, honey, he's coming for you.
The Shape of Water. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to my opinion/review for The Shape of Water. I really do appreciate it. But before we get into the review, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Also click the bell so you can be notified when I make uploads, and also give me that thumbs up. Let's see if we can get this video to 100 likes. Now, a lot of people will say when the name Guillermo del Toro comes up as the writer-director that he is the grand or one of the best storytellers out there. I'm kind of on the fence as far as that's concerned. I've seen majority of his films. I haven't seen them all. His most one of the films he started out with in the 90s was Mimic, which came out in 1997. I did not see that film. He also did Blade 2, which came out I think that came out in 2002, of course, with Wesley Snipes, and I love that film. He did Hellboys 1 and 2, and I thought those films were okay. He did Pan's Labyrinth, which I did not see, but heard it was really good. And then after that, he did Pacific Rim. I enjoyed that film, but I was slightly disappointed. One of the things that turned me off in that film was that a lot of the battles that had to do with the Jaegers had to do with at night, and there was a lot of rain, and so it was kind of hard to make out the choreography and, you know, tell kind of what they was doing. I enjoyed the film, but I was a little let down. Then he did Crimson Peak, and I absolutely despised that film. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was pretty much horrible. And now he has The Shape of Water, and of course I'm going to tell you about that now. So I'm kind of 50-50 with his films, and you know, if you do a lot like Guillermo del Toro, you know, that's perfectly fine. You know, all films are subjective. So I was going to this movie with somewhat, you know, mediocre expectations. You know, before I saw the movie, I was just talking to one of my subscribers in the comment section. He was saying that all the critics love this movie and they're just raving about it, but a lot of the fans, you know, are, you know, not liking it so much. And I had an opportunity to see this film 2 weeks ago, but it was too many people at the screening, so I got turned away. I got there real late, and then I tried to see it like every day this week, but then everything just, you know, stuff kept getting in my way, you know, but I was finally able to see it, so I'm glad that we can talk about it right now. And, you know, if you've seen Guillermo del Toro's films, you know that, you know, he can be considered an auteur. His films are none like any other films that have come out before him or at the same time. He is really an artsy director. You know, he always has some type of mystical, magical creature or coming from outer space, you know, from the bottom of the earth, or just something, you know, weird and obscure like that. So I will give him credit as far as that's concerned. And that is definitely the case with The Shape of Water. And what The Shape of Water is about, it is during the Cold War in the 1960s. And the two main characters are somebody named Eliza and Zelda. Eliza is played by Sally Hawkins, and Zelda is played by Octavia Spencer. I'm not too familiar with Sally Hawkins, but I really do love Octavia Spencer. I've seen pretty much all the films that she's been in, and she accepted this role because she just wanted to work with Guillermo for a very long time. She said that she will walk the earth to work with the film, to work in a film that he's, you know, writing, producing, and directing. So it looks like that she, you know, she got her chance, and her, you know, her dream came true. And Guillermo, when he was putting this film together, he said that he wrote this film for the actual actors and actresses that are in this film. So as far as Sally Hawkins is concerned, he said that was his only choice. Octavia Spencer was his only choice. And he actually met her in the 2014 Golden Globe Movie Awards that they just announced their nominees. And he said that he actually pitched the idea to her drunk or whatever while he was intoxicated. And because of the source material of this film, you know, it didn't sound, you know, too promising, because it's kind of a weird love story between one character and, you know, some aquatic creature and whatnot, you know, and just imagine how they can be sounding pissed to you while someone is intoxicated. But One thing I really did enjoy this film. One thing that I really did like a lot was the characters and their performances, because they all did a great job, and that's most likely due because when Guillermo was writing this film, he had all these actors in mind. The only actor that dropped out of this picture was Ian McKellen. He was supposed to play somebody by the name of Giles, but a gentleman named Richard Jenkins took the place. You know Richard Jenkins, you've seen him before. And I don't want to tell you why. I don't know why Ian McKellen dropped out, but I don't want to tell you what role he was going to take in this movie because I consider that to be a spoiler. But if you do see The Shape of Water, which I do recommend you do, you will know by the end of this movie who Ian McKellen was going to play and why. And I thought the casting was going to be perfect, but I don't want to ruin that for you now. But the acting in this movie was phenomenal. From Sally Hawkins, Octavia Spencer, Richard Jenkins, and Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon is pretty much one of the antagonists of the film. And, whether someone is a protagonist or an antagonist in this movie, everybody did a great job. And just something about Michael Shannon's character that really just stood out to me is he is really just a prime example of somebody that just has everything in the world that they want and necessarily need, but they just still are pride and hungry for more. Because, this guy had a great job. And in his life, he had a great career. He was respected among his peers. He had 2 loving children and a loving wife that pretty much gave him everything he wanted without him even asking for it. But he just still was just going around moping and just kind of had this chip on his shoulder, and he just wanted more. He had a lot of pride, and we see a lot of that today, and that just kind of stood out to me. Just kind of a slight spoiler here. His kids obeyed him, doing everything that he wanted. His wife is, giving him breakfast and just, oh, honey, here's your breakfast. I'll clean up the place. Hey, and when you're done, wash your hands real good and come upstairs, So, of course, you kind of know what they're about to get into. And just doing that scene just alone when, they went upstairs, she's offering this and that or whatever. And she just kind of, I don't want to ruin it for you, but I just kind of found his character there kind of just really disgusting and repulsive, but at the same time, I liked his character because every character in the movie can't be just great. And it was just a nice contrast from the good characters, especially from Octavia Spencer and Sally Hawkins. So, I love the film there. This movie is, I will say, it is not for everybody. I can really understand why somebody would not like this film, but I really liked it because I'm taking my bias out of the equation. Now, this is nothing that I will buy and watch repeatedly over and over myself, but I do respect and like the direction and the vision that Guillermo del Toro had and what he put in the script, what he put on the page, what he put on the screen. And like I said, I can't do anything, but respect it. Something else that also stood out to me, that since this is, I don't even think I told you what it's about, but I'll get to that. But, let me tell you that first before I go there. What it's about, it's in the 1960s during the Cold War, and I did cover that. And Octavia Spencer character Zelda and Sally Hawkins character Eliza, they are janitors in this research facility. I believe it's in New York. Eliza, Sally Hawkins character, she's not, I went in thinking she was deaf. Deaf, but she's not deaf. She's a mute, but she can't talk. And, well, that's what mute is, of course. I don't want to tell you why. You just have to see the movie for yourself. And she does a lot of sign language. And she creates a relationship with an aquatic creature. And I'll just stop there because I don't, I don't want to spoil anything for you. Now, that's pretty much what the movie is about. Now, as far as if you just would have ripped this story down to its bare bones, you have seen this story told, plenty of times before in Hollywood. It's not necessarily anything new that you haven't seen before. What is new and what you have seen before is the way that it is told, and that goes straightly due to Guillermo del Toro's, writing and directing, because he took this somewhat familiar story that you've seen before and gives it a nice little twist with his style, personality, and just swag, and just, dumped it all over this film. And it really did deliver something beautiful. And I will say this movie is a really artsy film. It is just a prime example of expressing yourself and how you feel about yourself in the world and how you fit into the world. And the main character in this movie that's driving that bus is Sally Hawkins. I think she did a great job, especially with her acting. She does deserve some type of recognition during Oscar season, which is coming up, because she barely had a line of dialogue, but she was just able to express herself and emote so well through her expressions, body language, and mannerisms, and sign language. I mean, she really drove it home with her acting, and she only had like a line or two of dialogue, you know, in this movie. Now, you're probably saying, well, Brandon, how does she have a line or two of dialogue in this movie when she was a mute? Well, there is one scene in particular to where it transitions. The film is majority in color, and also Guillermo wanted to shoot this film in black and white, but he didn't do that because of budget constraints. I don't know how that would be more expensive. If you know, please let me know in the comment section below. But there's just one point where Sally Hawkins transitions into some type of dream sequence to where she's able to express herself on the stage, and that was one of the best scenes in the whole entire film. She had a lovely voice doing this, and it was just nothing short of beautiful, and I just really did like that. Also, something that stood out to me is that this film took place in the 1960s, and during that time there was this country was just rampant with racism. You know, black people in the streets just minding their own damn business and getting dogs sicked on them and getting blasted with water hose and things like that. And so this film does cover racism just a little bit, and you know, I think it was appropriate. It also goes to show just how much apathy people had in this movie about that. Like, oh, I don't want to see that. Turn the channel. It has nothing to do with me. But during this time in the 1960s in real life, you know, somebody with a disability that's mute, and somebody that is black, Octavia Spencer, and someone that is a closet homosexual that is another character that I don't want to reveal here. You have to see it for yourself. Those were the three prominent actors and actresses in this movie, and they had the most important parts. So I just found that really interesting, that during such a horrible time in this, you know, country, to where it had to do with race and, you know, people with disabilities and, you know, being homosexual or whatever, these characters were given the forefront in this movie, and that really spoke to me, especially, you know, for the black lady Octavia Spencer or whatever. You know, she's black, I'm black, so I'm gonna be able to relate to her more. And when I was looking up some information on this film, that is another one of the reasons that got Octavia Spencer excited for the role, you know, is just because of that. The aquatic figure in this movie was played by Doug Jones. This is the 6th film that he's worked with Guillermo del Toro, and he was also the Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four movie that came out from Fox, that's now Disney, in 2007. He was also one of those figures that had the eyes on his hands in the Hellboy, and I think, yeah, he was the merman in this movie. It took him about 3.5 hours per day for the makeup, but he was like, oh, that's nothing, you know, because all the other movies I had to sit into the chair of makeup even hours and hours before. All the makeup that he used in this film as the merman was mostly practical. The only CGI elements was when the creature had to light up for certain reasons and sequences, and I thought that was pretty cool as well. You know, without having a line of dialogue as well too, you know, he did a great job in all the makeup, and I really did appreciate that. Also, Guillermo del Toro said that he got a lot of inspiration from the creatures from the Black Lagoon, an old black and white film, which I have not seen, but I've heard of it before, and I'm pretty sure you've heard of it before too. Let me see. I don't want to leave anything else because I really did love this film. But I really did love the acting and performances. You know, because everybody did a great job, from good and bad. This was a beautiful example of expression in this film. And, you know, Sally Hawkins' character was a really isolated character that really just stuck to herself. And, you know, she found love in a particular character, and while others may consider it extremely taboo, and there are some decisions that the director and the characters made in this movie that may turn the general audience off. And initially, when I was like, oh man, I can't believe they weren't there with it, but in the end, it's still just something I appreciated. And like I said, I use this word a lot, a prime example of just like, hey man, find happiness however you can. It does not matter what anybody else thinks. If you're happy doing something or loving a certain character, hey, you know, more power to you. You know, and this film, you know, had a lot to do with that. Like, I really did enjoy the film. Like I said, it's nothing that I will buy, but this is honestly one of the better movies that I have seen all year. And since it is becoming the end of the year, I'm putting my list together of like the top 10 best films. Right now on my list, I have about 15 or 16 films so far. I have more films to see as well. I got to see The Post, and there's a number of films this week, but I think that may get up to about 17 or 18. And I'm going to do a video for my top 10 best films of the year. I don't know if I'm going to do my top 10 favorite, but just subscribe and you'll find out. But guys, if I had to rate The Shape of Water out of a 1 out of 10, oh, I had my rating before, but I may want to bump it up even more. Oh man, dang. I'm gonna give it a 9.25 out of 10. Yes, a 9.25 out of 10. My guys, that is just my opinion. Have you seen The Shape of Water yet? Or do you want to see it? Have I turned you on? Have I turned you off? Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's get this conversation going and keep it flowing. If you like this video, go ahead and give me the thumbs up. And if you don't, that's fine. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Go to my website, check me out there, bookmark it. Also look me up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's right there at the bottom of your screen, and I also provided a link to all that good stuff down in the description box below. But guys, I just want to thank you again for tuning in to my opinion/review for The Shape of Water, written and directed by Guillermo del Toro. And before you go, don't forget that my name is Brandon Keith Avery, and that's just my opinion. Peace.